Well, welcome back to the shop. I have got a project going. As you can see, I've already got it apart. Yeah, I got started before I thought about making the video. I got in a hurry. Sorry, guys. But this is a custom shop. We do little repair jobs of all kinds. Little building, little repair, just whatever I can get myself into, I guess. This is a Mandrel out of a wood shaper. I can give you kind of the idea. We'll just stack these parts up and show you. Kind of like that. Of course, this shaft goes in, it's hollow. Bearing out of it, the pulley off of it. Sheath pulley, we're going to call it a pulley. And let's see, that's an internal part. There's a couple more parts here. I ain't got them right here with me, but man came by and asked me, he said, can you put me some bearings in this thing? He said, it's locking up on me. I said, well, I'll look at it. He said, I think it's bushings with oil. I thought about that for a day or two. He didn't drop it off immediately. He said he'd have to bring it back. He just wanted to check. I questioned that for a couple of days, thinking, why would they put bushings and oil in something like this? This is high speed. We dropped it off. I didn't get to see him. He dropped it off with somebody for me, and I picked it up from them. Took it all apart. Took me a day or two to get around to it, but I got it all apart. And I contacted him again. He said, hey, I dropped that off. Did you get it? And I said, yeah. I said, it's got ball bearings in it already. He's like, well, good. He said, so they need changing? I said, no, it's got really good ball bearings in it. And I said, they are smooth, like new. He's like, well, that's good, but he said it's still locking up. He said, you might want to check the shaft or the pulley. He said, I think the pulley's rubbing the housing, which I remembered it looked pretty rough. I said, I'll check into it. And I said, well, you know, what do you want to do about this? I said, we'll go ahead and grease the bearings and do away with the oil. He said, just fix it. So I have dove into this thing deep. I'll show you what I've already got done. I wish I'd have started the camera beforehand, but I thought I'd give you the lead up to this. This pulley, of course, this is all metric stuff. I'm old school. I'm fractional, decimal type measurements, not metric. But anyway, I think this come out to be roughly figuring a 20 millimeter. Well, this come out to be a 20 millimeter shaft. This goes in here, which it won't right now. I had to drill this out. It was about 30 thousandths too big. It was floppy on there. Done ate the keyway up. Done ate the key up. I got to look at the shaft. The keyway in this thing was completely gone on one side. You can see where I welded it, and I've started cutting on it. But I ain't got it smooth yet. I've got to put it in the lathe and work all that down. I welded the keyway up, started working on it. I bored this out and I pushed a shim in it. You can see there's different kind of metal in there. It's aluminum pulley and I've got a steel shim. I still got to drill it and spike it to hold it in place, but that's where I've gotten to so far. Today I'm going to put this in the lathe and I'm going to clean it up. Try to get it down to where I can recut the keyway. Hopefully we'll stick with something close. The keyway, of course, was metric. I have nothing to work with the metric keyways. The closest thing to it was a 3/16, and that's what I'm going for. I've got a broach. I'm going to broach this at 3/16, and I'm going to take the milling machine and mill this out to a 3/16. And hopefully the keyway will lock the shaft and the shim and the pulley all together, and we won't have much trouble, especially if I spike that sleeve or shim from the backside. But now I've got you up to speed. Let's get started doing something. Well, we're going to do things a little different. Because of this ring here made on this shaft, it won't fit in my lathe where I can cut the keyway. I'm going to have to cut it with a milling bit a little at a time until I get it down close. guess sand it or file it to finish it. I can grip the shaft in a lot of different ways in the lathe, but this ring keeps me from holding it the way I need to. The throat of my lathe ain't big enough to get this in, the one I'm using. I'd have to take it to another lathe, in another building, but I'm going to attempt to do this with a milling bit. You can see what I've got going here. This is not the fun way to do things. But custom job, got to be custom made. Here we go again. All custom. Okay, it's been a few minutes. I tried putting the machine and cutting it, and I got a little of it off, but there ain't nothing like a good old file to smooth off the edges where I welded it. I still got a little more fine touching to do, but I've got it pretty close. I mean, that edge is looking a lot better. I still got to go down the groove now. I still got to take the milling bit and go down through here. Cut all that out and make sure it's 3/16. Make sure it's deep like it's supposed to be. I thought I'd show you, you know, a file is a machinist's friend. When all else fails, you can file it or grind on it. File is really smooth. You take your time and watch what you're doing. You can do a really good job with a file. That's what I'm down to. This is the kind of work I'm having to do. This is a paying job. This is not a buddy job. So I'm trying to do a really good job and make it smooth as possible. That's the reason I hated I couldn't get it in the lathe and really shine it, but it's getting better. We're going to lock it in the milling machine this time and try to get the groove straightened up. Maybe I can do a little video into that. It's just not a handy place yet to set up a camera, but I wanted to show you the little more step by step in this anyway, what's going on with it. Alright, well, you can see I've got the shaft back in the milling machine, got it up on the blocks. I used a vertical level to get the groove as close to flat as I could. I used my depth gauge to make sure it was flat the other direction. And we're going to cut this out and make it a 3/16 instead of a 4.5 millimeter. I just got to cut the welds back a little bit at a time. It'll be slow. I'm just letting you know where I'm at and what I'm doing. I need to get me a cameraman so somebody can actually watch this, but I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. You got the idea of what I'm fixing to do. Slow but surely, we're getting there. Yep, and just like that, we've got a keyway. I don't know, if I can get out of the way of everything here. See it in there. Keyway fits. This is a special 3/16 keyway that came with the sleeve or the shim I put in the pulley. It's actually a little tall, which is good. And all we lack is, well, we gotta press the approach to the pulley and make sure it's a 3/16, and we're a lot closer then. I've got it machined out pretty close. The old groove was rough, but I got it welded up. I think it'll hold now. Got a little more metal back in it. We'll have to do a video about welding them up sometime or another, but right now let's get on with the business here. I'm ready to get this thing done and together.